been doing this a while here at Unity. And I'd been here about a year. It was 2008. I'd been here for a year. We were actually meeting in the school. Anybody here that was meeting in the school with us? There's some, all right. Were you here in 2008? Okay, so probably just me. 2008, I decided to finally take a vacation. And many of you probably know that prior to seminary, I was living out on the West Coast for a good period of time, and mostly in San Francisco. And so when I took my vacation, I went to one of my favorite mountaintop places just outside Yosemite and had a chance to just chill. And then I drove into San Francisco from there, and I saw a lot of my friends and went to the Unity Church that I had been part of. And then I got on the highway, and I started heading north along the coast up to a place called Sea Ranch. Anybody heard of Sea Ranch? Okay, you guys got to get out more. Sea Ranch is this beautiful resort spot. People can either buy homes as vacation homes, or you can rent them out. And I was headed up there for a wedding. And so it turns out that when I got there, I found out that I was going to be doing the wedding. Just kidding, I knew that. So I was officiating at the wedding for my ex-husband and his husband-to-be. Although they had already committed themselves to each other in their own private ceremony on the beach probably a dozen years prior to that. But guess what? Now it was legal in California, and they wanted to tie the knot legally, and they asked me to do the ceremony. So, interestingly, there was an election coming up just a few months later where California was going to vote on whether to make marriage between a man and a woman or not. So it was kind of an interesting season of time for people, and I started to dwell on that, wondering if the wedding I was about to perform would be dissolved in the coming months. Wasn't sure how that was going to work, but I was showing up ready to do my duty. And on this weekend, there were quite a few players that had an effect on the weekend. I use the word players, but you'll see what I mean here in a minute. Start with the constituents, the actual people who came to the wedding, beginning with the relationships involved. So, of course, well, I shouldn't say of course, don't necessarily expect this to happen, but there were actually family members who chose to come to this wedding, and both for groom number one and groom number two, so we had two sets of family, and then we also had friends of the grooms. And because the chapel on the grounds was so tiny, we had to have two services. We had to repeat the ceremony so we could fit everybody in. So we put the family in first, and then after they left, we did the service again for the friends. Let me show you I know, isn't this fun? That's Sea Ranch for you. Just gorgeous. But look over here in this bottom picture. There's like, I don't know, maybe a dozen benches at best. So as you can see, we had to do two services. So, family, friends joining us together. And there was also a variety of religions. So there were those that were there that were ex-evangelical or evangelical. There were those who were Mormon or ex-Mormons. There were those who believed in God but didn't have a religion. There were those who didn't believe in God. There were those that would never have a religion. And then there was moi, the used to be American Baptist, used to be Pentecostal, unitic minister, and I said unitic, not lunatic, ex-wife. So I'm just telling you that someday after I retire, I'm going to write a movie script, and this is going to Hollywood. Yeah. So that's one set of the constituents. There's also, in this crowd, there's people defined as different types of voters. So in this tiny little crowd of maybe 30 people, there were Republicans, there were Democrats. There might have been people in that room attending the wedding who later on would go to the election and vote against gay marriage. So it was an interesting group, to say the least, yes? Now, let's talk about Sexual identity, another player in the experience. There were those who were straight, and to them, homosexuality was a sin. And even though they had gay family members, they would never admit it outside the family. There were those who were straight and had gay friends and supported gay rights. Are you getting a feel for this? There were those who were gay, and the only friends in their life would be gay. And there were those who were gay, and in their world, they included both straight and gay friends. And then after that, there was the alcohol. This was a personality. This was a personality of its own. And it played itself out in a variety of ways, actually. So imagine that, the night before the wedding, people were invited to come over to one of the houses that they were renting, and there was quite a mix there, and different people were drinking, and also in the wedding reception, there was alcohol available. So some people in the group did not drink because it was against their religion. Some people did drink because they either didn't have a religion or their religion didn't care whether they drank or not. Some people didn't drink, they did drink even though it was against their religion because in their mind, it was the only way that they were going to get through this weekend. Or it was the only way they're going to be able to make it through their first gay wedding, or it was the only way that they were going to be able to put up with their family members for that long of a time. All right, are you following me? Now, for instance, there's the photographer, turns out part of the family. He probably drank, I don't know, but he'd never seen his dad drink until that weekend. So he was taking a few pictures of Dad to send to his brothers who'd never seen their dad drunk before. And then there were those who they used to drink, but because of health reasons, they couldn't drink anymore, and they just wanted everybody to stop drinking. And then there was me, who didn't drink, but it was only because, to me, it always tasted like cough medicine, and it made me leave my body. And I wanted to be sober for this. All right, so another one of the players was the conversations. And this started way back before the wedding. I mean, first of all, when I knew that I was going to come out there and officiate at the wedding, my mom's reaction, God bless her, she was not going to be seen dead at that wedding. And as a matter of fact, she was still holding a grudge for my ex-husband for even marrying me in the first place. And she could not figure out what in the world I was doing officiating at their wedding. She just couldn't get past that. Then there were the wedding invitations that went out, and people were replying by email, and the guys got one email from a very close family member whose reply was, "I guess that's what you people do, but I don't believe in it." And still, she came to the wedding. Now, it's Friday night before the wedding. People are getting to know each other, hanging out together, drinking, I'm sure. And let's see, there was a Republican family member who said, because the election for president was right around the corner, of course that was the topic he wanted to talk about. And his response was, "If that Democratic presidential candidate wins, I am moving to Mexico." And a Democrat next to him said, "And I hope you do move to Mexico real soon." I'm just like, okay, this could get ugly here any minute. All right, so the next thing was the relationship that I still had with my father-in-law, who I love dearly, and he was speaking to me privately. His face was beet red, which usually means he's about to blow his stack. And he was just getting that way over the potential results of the upcoming election, about to lose his mind about what could happen. Hasn't even happened yet. What could happen. And so me, minister, peacemaker, I just offered the idea, I'm just going to hold the idea, hoping he would listen and pick up on this, that all the voters just want better lives. And all the candidates just want better lives for Americans. And I can agree with that, no matter who wins. Didn't solve his problem, so I just found someone else to talk to. Now, here's the day of the wedding. We're just finishing up wedding number 1. So imagine, I just can't even imagine what it must have been like for these close family members who used to be my brothers and sisters-in-law. My father-in-law, my mother-in-law had passed already, bless her heart. I'm sure she was cheering me on. And while I was doing this wedding, I was just watching the faces of those who were just not knowing what to do with their face about what they were hearing and what they were seeing and what they were struggling with. And after the fact, I approached one of the family members with the marriage license, and I needed a witness. And I said to him, would you be willing to witness the marriage license? And his reply was, I might have a problem with that. I've really been struggling with this. But I'm here because I love him. And there it is. I'm here because I love him. And at that moment, I had a memory that something that had just happened a couple weeks before I left on vacation. I was going to swing by my sister's house and go to church with her since I was on vacation. And that morning before church, she called me in tears and said, I don't know if you want to come or not. I just heard that our minister is preaching against gay marriage. And she was just so conflicted. She loved her church. She followed their beliefs. But she loved Gordon, my ex-husband, too. They were close when we were married. And she still loved him and had spent time with him after we separated. So you can imagine that she was feeling pretty conflicted. So now we're at the morning after. That had a life of its own as well. Most of the family members had already headed home, but I was staying, and again, movie material. The ex-wife spent the honeymoon night with the 2 grooms in the same house, along with other friends, so it wasn't just me. Long story, obviously the 2 grooms had been together for now going on 20 years maybe. So not a big deal. But my point is, that morning we're all sitting around drinking coffee and kind of just reviewing the weekend, talking about what they had seen. And those who were gay began to talk about how they had really witnessed an evolution in their family. That they, over the years, had seen them evolve to the point where they had gotten to the point where not only were they able to talk about the fact with them that they were gay, but they were now in a same-sex relationship. There's a little bit of a difference there, right? They tell you they're gay, you can put them in the closet and not have to tell anyone else. But if they're moving around the world with a husband, how do we hide that? I come to the wedding. That's what they did. They came to the wedding. And those in the room with me telling these stories were in tears, and they were feeling like there was progress being made. And what they learned was that the love that the families had for these 2 men was something that was overcoming the daily laws. Even though they were conflicting with the daily laws, they still had love that transcended those laws. So think about it. The laws of marriage, the laws of the state regarding marriage, even the laws of being gay for many decades in this country said, it's not possible, it's not happening. And think of the family members who were there that had lived according to those laws all of their life, but were sitting here witnessing an event that totally contradicted those laws. And the only reason, I'm guessing for most of them, unless it was the alcohol, was that they came for the love. Now that's touching. And as these guys shared their thoughts about this, they were using words like, it was healing for me, or it was a miracle that they were here. So there it is again, that power of love that has the ability to transcend laws. And when we are here today to celebrate the month that we call Pride Month, hopefully not only that our LGBTQ community here can feel proud of who they are, but so can everyone else. And I have to say that it was more than just pride that I take a moment to just take in here. I also think about the courage it has taken so many people to actually come out to their families, to their friends, to their coworkers. How much courage that had to take, even when in some states it could threaten your life. I'm proud of those who had the ability to be themselves, and I'm sure it could have taken most of your life to get there. I understand it. I get it. I've watched it. So I want to ask you, can you see a benefit of having people come out and just being themselves? What's the benefit that we might experience? All of us might experience. Honesty's out in the open. Authenticity. A greater sense of peace. Integrity. Feeling safe. You know, I've got to think for all those teens who have yet to come out or even understand their own identity, it must help them know they're not alone when they see other people that they can relate to in the LGBTQ community. It must help them to feel like they're not alone. And it also is an opportunity to help the heterosexual community see my family member is gay, my coworker is gay, and what that does is it helps to naturalize this variety, this diversity that's right here among us, especially when it's your loved ones and you did not know. Then there's something that just touches your heart, like we saw at this wedding. There's something that touches your heart. Now, in their case, their families took a lot longer to come around, but they came. And when you think about the number of celebrities who have come out to the world and the difference that that makes for all of us to see, hey, it's not just a heterosexual world. This is way more common than we think. And it doesn't, I'll go into the opinions of that later. But who can we name that came out that had a lot of followers? Neil Patrick Harris, remember little Doogie Howser? Ellen DeGeneres, the news journalist Anderson Cooper, Barry Manilow, be still my heart. Jodie Foster, Pete Buttigieg was a recent cabinet member. Did you know that the Apple CEO, Tim Cook, is gay? Okay, so we need to just look around and trust this world is diverse. And it doesn't always express itself the way that some people think that it should. I mean, this is the thing that really kind of showed me we're evolving. This is from Kitty's point of view. I actually saw somewhere online this week that Good Housekeeping magazine posted the 35 best Pride songs. Good Housekeeping. I mean, that was a magazine my mother lived by when she was raising me as a little kid. You know that things are changing when Good Housekeeping posts a list of Pride songs, which, by the way, we will be playing here after the service. Now, some of you, hopefully no one in this room, but some of you, perhaps watching online, if you've watched this far, may still consider that this is not normal, this is not of God. But I'd like to think that the majority of our country is evolving in consciousness and that each one of us deserve to be proud of who we are. I'd love to think that. And as a matter of fact, I think another way I've seen evolution is that instead of just looking at the world as gay and straight, there's a spectrum. Have you heard about a spectrum that we are all on? We're all on the spectrum. So it's not just at that end and at that end, it's everything in between. That's true for sexual identity, that's true for gender, that's true for ADHD or autism. There's a spectrum. So stop, please. It just makes it much more difficult when you understand that, to start putting people in certain little boxes and say, stay there, or let me put you in the closet. I don't want to have to look at you. And each one, okay, thank you. And since last week we were talking about how we're evolving in consciousness, period, I want you to think about how we have evolved in our view of God. And once you start to get an understanding, of, at least from Unity's point of view, of God, you might be able to understand how God is playing a role in this diversity in the world. So we don't, at least I don't, look any longer at God as male or female. It's all that is. I don't look at God as Christian or Jew. It's all that is. I don't look at God as local on a throne, but everywhere present, not a judging entity, but a power and a presence of love. So you may try to say that's not of God, but honey, how do you put that which is infinite and eternal and all that is, all love in a box and say, stay there? Can't be done, right? Cannot be done. All is of God. Now listen to this, in my humble opinion. God is playing all roles. Now this is something that unless you see omnipresence, one presence expressing as each one of us, it might be hard for you to take that in, but I am just offering. God is playing all roles. And this comes from a belief system that says before we even come into this physical experience, we've chosen. That's where we do our choosing. Before we enter the body, we decide what kind of life we want to have, and we do our best to kind of put ourselves in the right place so that this is the way that it works itself out. God is playing all roles. Why? For the joy of it, for the experience of it that it can't have in the spiritual dimension. And you know, one of the memories that I have as Gordon was coming out to the world was his family just, and at the time, probably me too, desperately trying to get him back in the box. You know, one of the things they said to him was, Gordon, how can you choose this? Why would you choose to leave Kitty? And he said, exactly. Why in the world would I choose to be the most despised, reviled, rejected class of people on the planet? Why would I choose that? They don't. God will be what God will be. Ooh, glory to God. I need Kim Char here. Thank you. God will be what God will be. I am that I am. And today I am playing a straight woman in a really pretty jacket. But I'm also playing a gay man. You know, one gay man that I knew, that I was married to and found his husband, is now in the spiritual dimension. I'm sure he's hanging over my shoulder right now saying, you go, Kitty, I got your back. So, yeah. I'm just asking you to remember that when you understand the role God is playing as you, that kind of makes you divine. And that if we could get you to understand that your true nature is love for no reason, and we could get you to actually live love for no reason, then everybody could listen to their hearts and be themselves. Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice? I'm looking forward to that day. And I continue to see the evolution happening to choose to live for love for no reason. And once we can do that, love can do anything. Now, let me just share our definition of love up here on the screen. This is from our co-founder, Charles Fillmore. Divine love will bring your own to you. That's if you are divine love, if you're expressing divine love. Divine love will adjust all misunderstandings. That's if you express divine love. And make your life and affairs healthy, happy, harmonious, and free. Love sees good everywhere and in everybody. It insists that all is good, and by refusing to see anything but good, it causes that quality finally to appear uppermost in itself and all things. That's pretty powerful. That's the power of love. Do you see the changes that it can make if you will choose to be that presence in all cases with all people? I mean, one of the wonderful things I think about celebrating Pride and the LGBTQ community is to give us an opportunity to learn to love more deeply, not just the gay community, but anyone who is different. I mean, most of us living from the ego will say that they have an inner need for sameness. They want to find people that are the same as them and hang out with them, and that's where they'll live happily ever after. We need to learn how to stop labeling people. I tell you what, if you're going to label somebody, you remember when Jesus is talking to Peter about what people are saying about Jesus, and he turned to Peter and he said, "So who do you say that I am?" And what did Peter say? "You are the Christ." And that was the first time Jesus heard anybody actually get it. He was pretty excited about that, I think. You are the Christ. Okay, so I give you permission to label everybody that way, including yourself. If you want to be same, you see the Christ in other people. The presence of God playing the role as you. And the ego is always trying to get in there and decide how that role should be played. But when we're awake and aware of who we really are, we just say, no, you take a back seat. Love's going to come forward, and we're just going to watch love do something really marvelous there. I let my I am presence shine. Say that with me. I let my I am presence shine. And I see it in everyone else. Will you do that? Will you see it in everyone else? I know that it is not easy to love people unconditionally. Does anyone else know that? So let me ask you this question first. Do you want to be made whole? Yeah, we all already are, and very few of us know that. And we use our ego to hold back our wholeness. That's the problem. I mean, if we all just lived from our true nature, life would be glorious. But the reason that we don't, the reason that we have wars and arguments, is because we don't know that I'm already whole, and so is that person. So when it comes to having a more settled, peaceful, loving life, you got to ask, how badly do you want it? Are you willing to work hard enough at it where you are teaching your ego day in and day out, take a back seat, buddy. There is a higher point of view here, and I'm going to find it. That free will can really get in our way unless we take hold of it and point it in the right direction. So let's learn, before we finish today, how to love for no reason, okay? You up for that? This is where you take responsibility and you actually do some work. So up here on the screen, when they're all done, there's going to be 10 of them. You might want to take a picture, all right? All right, so to begin with, we're working to be love for no reason. Start by just being present in the moment, being aware of what's happening around you. That will help you from letting the ego take over and all the past and all your sordid beliefs. Just become present in the moment, be aware of what's happening, and even see if you can find one thing to appreciate while you're there, who you're with. Also, get outside. Good Lord, today let's go outside, get some ice cream. Let's take our shoes off and let's walk in the grass and feel the earth beneath our feet. Just take in what's happening out there in Mother Nature around us. That will help center you and ground you as well. Then also, just think of one person who loves you or appreciates you or did something nice for you, and just feel that support coming into your heart. I am supported. Life does love me. Allow yourself to feel your feelings. If we keep putting those in boxes, we can wreak havoc in our life. Become mindful of the feelings that are coming up in you, and then asking yourself, what meaning am I holding that's causing that feeling, especially if it's something that doesn't feel good. Feel your feelings and take on the attitude that I deserve to be loved. Look yourself in the mirror every morning and say, I deserve to be loved. I am worthy, and mean it. That might take some practice. Okay, another thing is, center in your heart for a moment and just imagine that that's where the portal of God's love lives in you, and then see yourself giving it out today. Remember how we said a couple weeks ago about we were just kind of shooting it out to the signs and the people going by, and just see you being a conduit for love to pass. Take some moments to be conscious this time and just be peaceful. Just be accepting of what's happening in your life right now. That's Probably one of our biggest problems is we see something that we resist, we name it, we give it a label, we feel an energy coming up that is in contrast to it, and we've totally disconnected from love. So just take a breath, be present to what it is. Love really is just accepting people as they are, accepting the situation as it is. Make changes later, we'll get to that later in the list, but feel and allow peace in that moment. We probably don't take enough time to be at peace in our lives. That's a choice too. Also, notice in any moment, God is here. Whatever name you want to give that, love is here. Creator is here, source is here, bigger than me, better view. I'm going to lean into that presence. I'm going to feel that presence. Basically, living from my heart outward. You don't have to enjoy every single person's company that you come across. Now take a breath of relief. However, could you be willing to keep your heart open in their presence and offer compassion for whoever they are? Could you be willing to go that far? And then finally, for those of you who want to make change in the world and literally take action, yay. And before you do that, righting wrongs or setting boundaries, before you do that, ground yourself, center yourself in a state of love first, and then take your action. Okay? There's your list. Am I in your way? I am celebrating Pride Month, and I'm trying to do it all year long. Because of my unique experience of being married to a man for 10 plus years and then learning that he was gay, I've had the unique experience to evolve myself. I mean, I ranted and raved on day one. I tried to get him to change his mind, I can't tell you how many times. So I have no doubt that he is a spirit and I as a spirit were hanging out in the spiritual dimension before we came here and said, hey, how about this? How about we come down here together and we'll get married, and I'll think that you're going to be the minister, I'm saying to Gordon, but really I'm going to be the minister and you're going to be gay. Oh, great, let's go and do that. I literally, honest to God, that is where I am. That is where I have evolved to, and there is nothing in me that regrets or resents my life. Here come the tears, because there is so much love here. And the growth that I have experienced. I mean, imagine being raised as an American Baptist and then marrying someone gay. I mean, it just was like, what? What is that? I don't know what that even is. So okay, I'm so way out of line right now, but let me just offer this one other thing. If I had $1 for every person who came to me and said, are you kidding? You didn't know before you married him? That's your minister, just as pure as the driven snow. All right. All that to say, I am honored to have a relationship with the gay community that not many people on this planet can say they have. And I just have felt like part of my purpose for being is to create it's to create a spiritual community where all beings feel loved and known that they are pure and perfect just as they are. I can't say it loud enough. Yes. I just don't know how to get the word out. So if you know how to get the word out to anyone who misses their spiritual community because they got thrown out, you are welcome here. Your heart is safe here. Okay? So let's take some time in meditation and let's work on our hearts, okay? I'll ask you to close your eyes and just take a deep breath. And we might just want to ask ourselves, Do I want to express my wholeness? Do I want to express my wholeness and live in unconditional love? Just start from there. And if it's comfortable for you, put your hand over your tummy where your navel is. Just gently rest it there. And visualize in that area a beautiful yellow sun inside you. A sun of divine light, pure perfection. Today, I remember who I really am. The very essence of my being is love. The heart that beats within me beats with love. That loving heart is now causing every cell of my body to work together in harmony. I love myself just as I am. I'm proud of myself for who I am. There's no one on earth like me. And I love the soul I came here to express. I release old judgments of myself that I've been carrying around. And I step into the freedom of forgiveness. Life loves me. And love heals me now. Take a breath. Move your hand gently up over your heart. Visualize green, like the very essence of new life, shining in your heart. And bring to mind someone that you may be having difficulty with. Today, I remember who you really are. The very essence of your being is light. The heart that beats within you beats with love. And I behold that love supporting your well-being. I love you just as you are. There's no one on earth like you. And I love the soul you came here to be. I release any judgments I've carried of you. I'm sorry Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Life loves you. And love frees you now. I allow these words to be true from my heart to my heart, from my heart to all beings. God will be what God will be in me. And so it is. Amen.